I'd like to share with you how an AI note taker has completely transformed my face-to-face meetings and how you can do the same. Imagine if you spent the time actually listening to your customers instead of scribbling half-legible notes. No more wasted hours on admin or trying to decipher what you've written, just engaging conversations with clear next steps. And as we all do, if you want to close more deals, you can't spend that time with your head down writing notes. You've got to be present in that moment. At Vambrace, we've been testing AI-led revenue operations, and I've tested this firsthand in real-life face-to-face customer meetings, and the results have been game-changing. So let me show you how we've done it.
You've reached the Bigfoot sales office. How may I help you?
These leads are rubbish.
This is the second week we've been doing AI Weekly, and here's some of the things that we've covered. ChatGPT's training mode for salespeople, why dictating prompts is actually better, a practical showcase of how AI note-taking really boosts a customer face-to-face meeting. And finally, we look at how agents and workflows can really be used to enhance business performance. Training and development and coaching of sales teams is critical to the success of any sales function. But how can you use AI to try and enhance that? Well, we looked at this, and there's been a recent update with ChatGPT for a teaching mode, which is predominantly aimed at education, but we wanted to look at how that might be used for sales. When you come to do your prompt, you can select where you've got agent, there's study and learning mode as well. We tried that, and we put the same prompt in for standard and another prompt in for study and learn to see what would happen. The differences we found were subtle. There was no real major shift, but the one thing it did show is that in the study and learn mode, it was a little bit more informative as to why it suggested these things. So we tested it out looking at call scripts and identifying customer profiles. And it was explaining things a little bit more as to why it's chosen the way to do things. So it's definitely worth looking at. It wasn't groundbreaking for us, but it's definitely worth experimenting with. If training is there to help us improve in our job, what can we do to make our job a little bit easier? Well, dictation is another thing that we looked at. Most people type their prompts out, and you could spend a little while typing a prompt because you want to get all the context in there, which is what we talked about last week. The more context you get in, the better that response is. But at the same time, when you're typing, you're potentially getting a bit bored or, losing the will to live a little bit with the amount of information you're putting in there. But what I found is actually if you don't bother typing and you just speak and you just talk to the prompt. So if you choose dictate mode and just unload and just explain what you want, how you want, and then while you're talking, you'll be like, oh, actually, what about if you put this in there? What about this? And what about that? And because you're talking and it's flowing more, you end up providing a lot more context to that prompt, and it's dead easy. It's a lot easier than typing it all out. I use it all the time. So now you're nailing that prompt. You're dictating everything in there. You're getting that context in there. But what you actually need is that customer data. And we're getting that data from transcripts and call recordings. But actually, what do you get from a face-to-face customer meeting? And that's what we experimented with.
Security dashboards, compliance reports, mobile app testing, a SOC 2 compliance, incident response, tabletop exercise.
Sure, just keep going. I've only got 4 hands.
I recently went to a face-to-face meeting with one of our key clients. I took my laptop because we were doing a presentation. I've been experimenting with note takers to try and establish which one we want to use in the business. I've been testing out Krisp and Grain and a few others. For this particular meeting, I chose Krisp. And I said to the customer at the start of the meeting, I've got a note taker. Do you mind me recording the meeting? To which he said no. Now, the interesting thing is now is if you think, a year ago when you were thinking about recording a Teams meeting, you'd say to everyone on the call, I'm going to record the call. Is that okay? And then they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah. You'd push the record button and then everybody like, okay, we're recording the call. But now every meeting you go on, there's note takers. Everyone's got note takers. Everyone's taking notes. So it's become accepted. It's become a standard thing.
Can we record this meeting?
No!
So the great thing is that we were now recording that meeting using the note taker. What does that result in? Well, that results in a meeting where you're 100% focused on what the customer's saying, what they're asking, what key points are they raising. And if you need to clarify something, you can ask the question, say, oh, can you confirm what that was again? Because you're not there looking down, trying to note take, and at the same time trying to listen and go, yeah, okay. But then also try and look at them and try and remain engaged, because you have to be engaged. Otherwise, they're not going to trust you. So it's very difficult sometimes to write notes, look at people and listen all at the same time. And it's a skill all us salespeople have developed over years. But I mean, my notes have always been awful. I could never decipher them. So after the meeting, I'd probably be looking at going, what was that? What did he say? Oh, I can't remember what that was. But now you don't have to worry about that because it's all there. But every piece of context is recorded. And the great thing from this meeting was this customer was particularly very, very happy with the service they were getting. We'd asked them if they could do a testimonial, and which they confirmed, yeah, we'll do a video testimonial quite happily. But at the same time, he was giving me loads of quotes. He was saying, you did this in delivery. It's the best thing. You promised us this. You gave us more. The analysts are great. He gave us lots and lots of quotes. So we had it all there on the note taker. Now, when I get back to the office back to my car, I could then just go straight onto the note taker, get the transcript and chuck it in ChatGPT, summarize the meeting with the action points all agreed. I also asked ChatGPT to take out all of the quotes that were relevant for marketing. And before I left the car park, I'd sent the summary of the meeting to the customer. I'd sent the quotes to marketing because they'd be suitably excited that, yay, we've got some decent quotes from our happy clients. And that was all done. Whereas back in the olden days, it would have been, right, I'll drive home and I'll then spend, an hour trying to type up the notes, and then all that good stuff, right? But all that time is gone. But the detail is there, the context is there. So it's really, really powerful. Now we're at the point where we're starting to prompt efficiently. We're potentially dictating to the prompt to make life a bit easier. And we're recording meetings, so we're getting the transcripts and all that contextual data from clients. We're consolidating information, getting our value propositions, all that good stuff's coming out of ChatGPT. Now, the next bit is, how do we start looking at automating tasks? How can we actually start getting some of this work done for us? That was the next part of the conversation we had during our weekly hour meeting. What can we do to start automating tasks or workflows? So I tasked the team with taking some time this week to go away and think about what they do on a day-to-day. Are there any tasks that they do every day that's really mundane or repeatable? That's just, download this, copy that, whatever it is, right? Is it something we could look at automating? But the important thing is to remember there's two ways of doing this. One is a workflow where we can set up a workflow to automate these tasks. Or do we go down the rabbit hole with an agent and start creating agents to do things for us? Two different ways of doing it. There's tools out there like Zapier, N8N, and other tooling. So I've encouraged the team to go away, look at this stuff and start thinking about it. So they can come back this week and then we can discuss the tasks that they've got. And then we can see if we can plan some automation or agents to start working on these tasks for them. So that's it for this week. Just remember, try a note taker in your face-to-face meetings and see what you can get out of it. Also, dictate to ChatGPT. Have a conversation with it, right? Don't type away. Just unload your worries and woes and all your thoughts and see what it says. And please like and subscribe. And if you are going through any of these processes yourself and you've got some useful insight to share with me, please comment. Let's start this conversation. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next week.
I've had enough of sales, the cold calls, the CRM updates, the endless pipeline reviews. It's time for a change.